You're listening to the Culturing Podcast. That's Culture EING, where we believe that healthy company culture is the untapped fuel to growth in your organization. By taking action today on building an amazing workplace environment, you're setting yourself up for an unstoppable, thriving future that will put you on the map and propel you to prosperity. This is your host, Tynan Allen. So come on, let's get culturing. Today we are featuring the virtual gurus. Now you may be wondering what that is, and really we wanted to bring on today a company that is actually the largest freelancing platform in Canada. And what I love about them and their founder, Bobbie Racette, is that they have taken something that is mysterious and has also a lot of buzz around it, which is virtual assistants and remote workers. And they've built a company that supports them and it supports other companies in utilizing the power of a virtual and remote team. So, there's many ways that we'll dive into today about how you and your company could use Bobbie's team and virtual gurus or any sort of virtual assistants out there. But I really want you to focus on everything we talked about today, because obviously we're focused on the culture. And for me, my biggest hesitation for anyone that is seeking remote work or virtual assistant help is, how do you make sure that the culture isn't disrupted? How do you make sure that your virtual assistant actually does blend in with the culture that you've created and that you strive to maintain? So we really focused on that. The best part about today's episode, in my opinion, is that we actually get two different perspectives on this. We have Bobbie Racette, as well as one of her original employees, Tori Reed. And so you'll get to hear from both the founder's perspective and a person on her sales team, what does it look like to have a virtual assistant become part of your company? So stay tuned for an incredible episode, and make sure that you stay listening right to the end of the episode, because we'll be offering you a special discount code for you to start trying out what a virtual assistant could look like in your world, for your company, and on your team. So our first guest today is Bobbie Racette, and you are the founder of Virtual Gurus. It's incredible to see your journey. It's not been actually that long, but you've done a lot. So can you just tell us a little bit about your journey to where you are now?
Sure. So we officially launched about 4 years ago, but we actually really only got our first clients about 2.5 years ago. So we've climbed since, from being just a small little remote working agency with a team of 10 people to now a team of more than 150 people. So we're definitely growing. I think we're working into more of the scale up this year.
Right. And so again, this podcast is focused specifically on culture, and in the current day we live in, so many companies, and you're seeing it because your clients are these companies that are incorporating remote workers into their environment. They might be full-time, they might be kind of ad hoc for what's needed at the time, but regardless, there are team members that are not full-time employees of a company that are still part of the culture. Can you tell us, what's your vision for your clients and their companies as they hire on one of your virtual assistants? What does that look like for their culture? And what have you kind of talked about with some of your clients that they want to see?
Absolutely. So one of the things that we've kind of figured out over time, I would say 2 years ago, our matchmaking rate was between 20 to 40%, which means successful matchmaking.
Right.
So the other 80% or whatnot, we were rematching and trying to figure out why the cultures weren't working properly. You're essentially integrating two different cultures together.
Totally.
So then as we've grown, our matchmaking success rate now is 90 to 95%. And so what we do is we have an office here in Calgary with our account management team. And what they do is they get on the calls with all the new clients. We have strategy calls, and we basically go over what their culture is. And we send them information. We send them information on the VAs that we think are good, a match for them. And we also now allow them to interview VAs should they request that. Before we were just matching, but we'll take the top 3 or 4 matches. And then what we'll do is say, you want to interview them, here they are, and they essentially get to pick. So that's really kind of changing the culture. And on the flip side, what we're doing internally with our VAs is they sign a diversity and inclusion contract with us, and they sign an inclusion on the inclusion documents they sign. It actually talks about how every client's different, and it's important for us to understand their culture and how to work our way into their culture as well. And not all the time will it be a good fit, and that's okay. We let both sides know,
Right.
if you don't want to work with that client, it's okay. Or we let the client know if you don't want to work with the VA, it's okay. But opening those doors have changed our matchmaking success rate.
And so what's been something that maybe your client has said to you saying, hey, we were surprised about how our VA fit into our culture, or we didn't expect it? Like, what's that experience been like? Because I think a lot of the listeners today are going to be a bit hesitant. They're going to say, well, I don't know about this remote thing. I just kind of like knowing that I can see my employee or face to face. Like, tell us how they can kind of break that barrier in their minds.
One of the things that we do, being a local Canadian company, we've launched into the US now officially. But one of the things is that we try to provide you a virtual assistant that's local to you.
Okay.
So you can meet your person. You can have them come to your office if you want. They're considered remote assistants. So that certainly has helped kind of bridge that gap of, I don't know if this is for me or not. Obviously, it's new to a lot of people, so we do have to do a little bit of hand-holding at first, but that's what our account managers are trained to do. I think, some people it's still not for them, but then they're coming back because they get FOMO, right? And they're like, oh, this is cool. I want to do this. I need a VA. And then some people, it takes a while to get used to it, but then after 4 or 5 months, they're lifers, and they're building full remote teams with us now. So we have some clients that have 10 to 15 remote assistants working for them through our agency.
I sometimes wonder if we all do more remote work than we think.
We do. And I think that it's the new way of coming, right? Like, if you look downtown, there's so many people are working remotely now. Wherever I go, people are like, oh, I work remote for my company. And it's just the way of doing it now. Whereas with us, you're only paying for the time worked by the minute. So you don't need somebody to necessarily to sit there all day.
Right. And that's a bit contentious as well, right?
Yep.
Because there are a lot of companies who definitely don't track the minutes of their employees' work, right?
Yep.
Productivity numbers sort of can get out of whack because we can't track our employees. And, from the research that I've seen, it does become a bit of a burden for employees to constantly feel like they are down to the minute, that they can't take a washroom break and they're going to be losing money. So can you tell us about, like, how do you work with your own VAs who are, under that? It's still really great for your clients. I'm trying to figure out how you work with your VAs to make sure they're supported as well.
So that's a huge thing with us, is the culture with the VAs. When they come in, they fill out a VA vital statistic form. And from there, it's up to them to have it updated. And it goes into our new matchmaking algorithm profiles, where we're launching it next month. And you'll be able to see all of it live on the website now. So they come in and say, well, if it's a stay-at-home mom who's just trying to make ends meet, and she's only available from 11 a.m. until 2 p.m. every day, then that's the only time we'll give her hours.
Right.
So they can basically create and work the hours they want, all the way up to the max hours. So they can work anywhere from a 10-hour a month account, if that's all they want, just that extra little spending money, all the way up to 160 hours a month if they want.
Right.
We don't let them jump in and start working on 160 hours. They kind of have to prove themselves. They go through and they skill up using our academy as well. And so we're giving them free courses so they can skill up, and then they get higher pay, and then they move into different tier systems as well. Since we've launched into doing that and the profiles, the whole culture internally has completely changed. We're creating a community. So they have a private Facebook group for all of them. They also have a private Slack group, and they have assistant support, they have tech support, social media support, and they're supporting each other. So the community is amazing. Now I'll log in and I'll see a VA saying, my client really needs this, I need help. And another VA is like, I'm here for you, I got you. And they get into the account, we have to put them in, and they're supporting each other and helping each other. And it's actually really neat to see. So we send them all out for dinner sometimes as well. So in Toronto, we'll send a big certificate and say, go here for dinner. And all of them will show up and meet each other.
Oh, that's so cool.
We're trying to, this year, our focus is to try and get them out more and to be more supportive and get out into the community with them. So giving them T-shirts, getting some events going. But it's just been hard because we're growing too fast. So.
Putting a face to the virtual.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
that's
definitely.
stellar. So again, if I'm somebody that's still a little bit skeptical, I probably am going to be the one that needs to be handheld at first. What's the biggest thing that you feel people might be missing if they don't kind of seize this opportunity to test out a VA in their company?
I think the productivity of once you're able to manage how it works, and that's where we're there to help you manage it for the first couple months, and then you're on your way, is the having a remote team available to you. And me being an entrepreneur, I have my own assistants that help me on certain areas for my company, for me personally, not my company. And it allows me to focus on the growth of my company. So getting the VAs, let's say you need just an admin person, and then you need somebody to do your bookkeeping. And then you might need somebody that can also do your travel arrangements. Having all of those taken off of your belt while you're focusing on growing your company and focusing on the other things is huge. And it sounds like it would be expensive, but it's really not, because you're only paying for the actual time work. So if it takes 22 minutes or 11 minutes for one task, that's all that you're paying towards your monthly bill.
Right.
So it's 100% efficiency and productivity for the user. But as far as walking them through it and helping them, it takes a little bit of hand holding up first for the new people, for sure. But then once it's kind of like they're little kids to us, and they're our family, and we're like, oh, they're off on their own now, and it feels good to see that.
Yeah.
And then they're bringing their clients and their friends in to use the services, and it's actually really it's neat to see it explode in that way.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, and Bobbie, I think you really believe in this, and tell me your origin story. How did you figure out that this was something that people are going to be in tune with and really wanting? And then why did you even start this company? How did it come to fruition?
I didn't think it was going to be what it is now at all. Really, when I started it, I was working in oil and gas, and I knew the layoffs were coming. So when I started it, I started doing it as a freelancer myself, and I started seeing the headaches of logging into companies and having to bid for jobs, and then going and getting only $5 or this or that. And it just was something that I was like, there's got to be something better for us in Canada anyway. So I really just kind of took it from there and ran with it. Where it is right now was not what the original vision was when I launched it.
Okay.
It's just evolved into this. And now my vision is, obviously now I'm sucked in, and I love
Global
it.
domination.
Yeah, totally. So now we are growing into something much bigger, and we are now considered the largest freelancing platform in Canada, which is crazy. And we're no longer just virtual assistants. We're actually freelancing and remote workers. So we do marketing, social media, web design, sales. We have bookkeepers, real estate assistants, IT, finance, like so many different assistants. We even UI, UX designers that work for us. So it's just because we go by what clients are requesting at this point. But the profiles that we're launching is something that I didn't vision, but I started visioning about 1.5 years ago. I never thought that I was going to get it off the ground. And the profiles, I'm excited. We're launching it next month in August. And those are amazing. They're star rated by the VAs, are the clients. They have descriptions on the clients. The VAs get to write them themselves, which is the great part too.
So now that you've heard from the founder of Virtual Gurus, you're now going to hear from one of their original employees, Tori Reed, on what her journey has been like in working with customers who have implemented amazing virtual assistants into their workflow and onto their teams.
Virtual Gurus is a virtual assistant firm. We're based in Calgary, Alberta, but we have our team based all across the country. We service clients across Canada and in the States. So we are really a one-stop solution for clients who are looking to outsource their support staff without having to go overseas, without having to go through the whole process of bringing someone in to their day-to-day office. Because, what we've found statistically, support staff is only productive for something like 2.25 hours a day.
Wow.
So the rest of that time, you're paying someone to get coffee, go on Tinder, check their Facebook, live their lives, but you're paying for that. There's also the cost associated with hiring, with interviewing, with vetting those people, with training once you bring them on, and then having to start all over if in that first 3 months they end up not being the right fit. So we absorb all of that on ourselves, and we match really, really skilled workers with our clients based on their needs.
And so this is sort of, you're selling me already. I'm sold. I'm so excited about the way that work is moving, in that there are now organizations that can help me as a business owner actually have somebody that's a virtual, employee or a virtual team member and do the things that I've been needing. But maybe, like you're saying, there's a big gap between a lot of the administrative staff that we have in our organizations and what they're really doing productively. So tell us about, I think you guys even have some sort of academy in it, and it seems quite groundbreaking. Can you tell me about that and really what you're doing to make sure that these people are the most productive team members?
Yeah, absolutely. So I will back up a little bit and sort of let you know how we work and then how the academy integrates into that. So we have a project management system that we utilize for our clients. So it's complete transparency from the time you start working with us all the way through until hopefully you don't ever want to stop working with us, but if you do. So all of our clients can go into this system and delegate on the move. You can download it as an app. So say you're leaving a meeting and you need meeting notes compiled, a presentation to be sent out to those attendees, and then travel arrangements made based on the outcome of this meeting. You can actually upload all of those tasks into the system on the go, and then you're done. Your assistant will take it from there and make sure it's completed for you. When your assistant is working, they start a timer and they stop a timer. So it's completely billed to the minute. We don't round up to the quarter hour. We don't round up to the 30-minute mark. You're just paying for the time that you use. So it really is based on 100% productivity. And that's where we find our biggest differentiator is, because clients have the same access to their time as our leadership team does. There are no secrets, nothing's sort of kept under wraps. Where the academy comes into play is that if we're interviewing someone or we have a candidate who comes in and we think they're a great fit for our team, our culture, we just think oh my God, this person would be the perfect fit for this client. Yeah. But as an example, say their social media skills aren't quite where they need to be for us to feel comfortable matching. Instead of saying, okay, good luck to you, go fix this on your own, we can say, look, take this course. Wow. They do vary in price, but they're affordable for people to take. And what it does is it makes the VA, the virtual assistant, more marketable and hireable by us. It diversifies their skill set so they become more hireable in their own right. Yeah. And then it gives us that added layer of confidence when we're matching them with clients, because we can say, look, not only have we put this person through our initial skill testing, through training on our system, through our initial interview process, we've also bolstered their toolkit with even more skills. So we can really, really endorse what we're providing to our client.
One thing I've often heard people struggling to decide between is whether they go overseas to try and find their VAs or whether they try and find something local in North America. And so here's Tori talking about really what she thinks the difference is and what differentiates that North American presence and ability to really understand your VAs. While I do think that there's definitely amazing overseas companies, here's just one perspective on it.
Where you go overseas to a VA firm, where a lot of people have had, I won't even say negative experiences, but different experiences. They're matched with someone sort of based on skill set, and then it's okay, see ya, good luck. If it doesn't work out, too bad. You're paying a certain fee, you get what you get. Where we've sort of flipped the model on its head a little bit is that we're structured almost like an agency where we have an account management team in place too. So that always adds an extra layer of comfort and I think just trust, because you have someone who's always going to be available if you have skill issues with your VA, if you have questions. We're all human, we're open to human error. If someone accidentally leaves the timer running and you go in and you're oh my God, someone just spent 7 hours on my social media, what? Then we have our systems in place to be able to go in and say, okay, totally explainable mistake, human error, credit you that time back. and then it's fixed. So we have all of these sort of checkpoints in place to ensure that the clients are taken care of and the client experience is like a really premium experience, that they have a resource at every single point of their time with us. As we grow, of course, will that, human element be as prevalent? Maybe not. We're developing our own IP right now where it will be a more automated process. But, I think what's most important to remember during that, it's being even more transparent. Our clients will be able to almost like shop online for an assistant. They'll be able to go and see a star rating, a skill set. They'll be able to choose sort of between different experience and different packages. We err on the side of over communicating, but it's so that they're comfortable because, again, we're not face-to-face. You don't have that, initial trust and relationship being built. So that's how we, on the client side, do things. And then on the VA side to integrate into our culture, working from home can be super, super isolating, and it's not for everyone. My first year working in this role, I worked from home, and I made sure, and I was really lucky because I had experienced my mom working from home, when I was in my teens, and she would get up and put on a suit and go into her office. And even if she didn't have any sales calls and like 4-inch heels, like she was ready to go. But even if she didn't have any sales calls that day, she was like, well, I can't be engaging on the phone. I can't, get these meetings. I can't be as successful as I want to be if I'm schlepping around in my pajamas, lying on the couch doing it. And it has nothing to do with skill set, but it's sort of that mindset. So I found, for me, I love coming into the office. I love being a part of the leadership team, but the way that we ensure that the VAs are set up for success is we let them know that it's still a professional capacity that they're working in. They need to have a home office set up. They need to have a certain, level of equipment, laptop. They need to be prepared to use their own cell phones. They need to be prepared to be available. So we all communicate on Slack. So they have to be able to be accountable not only to their account managers, but, if Bobbie or I reach out, there's a level of communication there. So instead of them feeling like they're hung out to dry on their own too, we really do try to develop a culture where they're brought in. We welcome everyone personally. We do weekly shout outs. Our new, I'm pointing and no one can see me, but one of our new team members, Jen, was such a resource to us last week and super, super helpful. So I made sure that, in our general channel last week that we all said a big thank you to him to let him know that his efforts are appreciated. And we have our management meetings. We have biannual town hall meetings. So even though it is remote, like there is definitely a sense of camaraderie. There's definitely a sense of togetherness and teamwork to be able to support our clients. Because at the end of the day, and I harp on it a lot, but because we're still people helping people, we want our clients' businesses to grow. We want them to be successful. We want them to make money. And similarly, we really, really want our VAs to do well and our whole team to grow. That's how the company will get bigger. That's why we have the academy in place to encourage success on both sides. And it really just sort of becomes this little holistic world of just building each other up at the risk of sounding like a hippie. But that's the whole way that we do it, is by really focusing on those relationships and culture and people. And then, of course, making sure we have the tech and the systems and everything in place to actually grow it and be strategic with it.
Yeah. And that's what the research is telling us, that culture is going that way. Maybe it is returning to the way of the hippie, but it really is. As we bring in more technology, we are also simultaneously craving more connection. And so I think what you're targeting in your team of VAs is that sense of, being part of a team and still feeling like you're a human being, not a robot that's working as a human. That will never work out. And so you're really on the forefront of creating this. And so really what I want to encourage anyone that's listening right now is to see this as a guide for you, right? If you're thinking about hiring somebody virtually, Tori's just outlined everything you need to be looking for, right? She's outlined that if you were to go and hire a virtual assistant company like Virtual Gurus, realize that if they don't have something in place that helps with workflow, if they don't have timekeeping, if they don't have all of these things that she talked about, then maybe it's time to find another one, right? And these are this is, you're creating a guide for us who, this is something new. We're all learning about what we should be looking for in hiring our virtual assistants and companies that we're going to work alongside to make this possible for our organizations. And it really is going to fundamentally change in some ways the way we work and run our businesses. So thanks for even providing that really straightforward, sort of jot list of things to look for. I really appreciate it. I think a lot of people their minds are flowing right now. So can you even talk to us about some of your clients and what their growth has looked like? Because I think some people might not yet understand how much this can unlock in terms of growth potential for their businesses.
Yeah, absolutely. So I know that, we have one client who one of our account managers works with directly who is super, super great. She came on last year and she's a life coach, and Tash has just done a phenomenal job of building her brand and her content, and I think she works on her website and manages her social media too. Wow. And, again, it's just really keeping that presence out there, because if you don't do it, there are 10 other companies behind you who are prepared to,
and that's exactly
right?
It, yes.
So it really is keeping that sort of competitive edge. And whenever I talk about, those types of tasks, I always think, I read this article years ago because I'm so old, but why Coca-Cola still has yearly ad campaigns and why there's call to actions and branding, and they're so committed to doing that. And it's as simple as that they can't afford not to. And so when one of the biggest, most recognizable brands in the world understands that, then it's well, why wouldn't you have someone just take this off your plate for you? So, for that client specifically, I know that she's experienced increased engagement and growth, and it's not overnight. Digital marketing and social media marketing isn't a snap your finger solution. Mm-hmm. A lot of the time, by the time a client realizes that they need it, they want it yesterday.
Right.
So there's some mapping out expectations.
Have patience, people.
Yeah, exactly. It's definitely not an overnight thing. But, we're coming up on 8 months, I think, with this client. And so I know that, this has steadily grown for her. She's increased hours with us. So I know that she has more work to do. She's giving more work to us. Similarly, other clients who brought us on just for general admin. And then suddenly I get a phone call hey, do you do web design? I need a new website. And then, we're able to take that off their plate for them too, because they don't have to source out a designer. They don't have to source out someone to say, okay, well, this is going to be $15,000, and they don't understand why, because we take them through the steps of what that pricing looks like. And it just becomes sort of this ongoing relationship where they might have hired us for one thing, but 6 months down the road, we're doing 5 other things for them.
Sure.
So, when
they can afford you because you've been helping their business grow.
Exactly, yeah. It's one of those business models where if we can help you with a couple of tasks up front, if you come in for only 20 or 30 hours a month, and that's on an hour a day approximately, but you don't have to be married to that skill set. You don't have to be married to those initial projects. We'll adapt with you. If you grow, we'll grow with you. So we'll bring on more people to support you. We'll continue to encourage that growth. You don't have to feel like you're growing out of us, because we evolve as you evolve. So that's not answering really specific clients, but we've sort of done that with, I would say, the majority of our clients. Yeah, at this point. And
so how do you make sure that they also sort of can be a chameleon to the companies that they're assisting?
I love that question, and that's something that I feel super strongly about. So during my sales calls, I always sort of get a feel for someone's personality on the phone. So it's one of those things where you can sort of get a bit of a feel for the type of person that would be a good fit for them. Is this person super, super detail oriented? Does this person need someone to help them delegate? Does this person just want someone to come in and never talk to them? Does this person need a ton of coaching? You can sort of get that an idea for that. And then when you match them, it's not only based on skill set. As I keep saying, we're people working with people. So we want to make sure that the personality is a good match and making sure that brand is represented properly. So if we do match a VA with a company or with a client who is more on the conservative side, who needs some client-facing work done, whether that is face-to-face on Skype or Zoom or Google Hangs or on the phone, obviously we have to have them present a professional demeanor. The same way that I wouldn't be stoked if I heard of anyone hopping on a Zoom in their pajamas with a face mask on to sit in a meeting. there's just a level of professionalism that we expect, and we do try to, when we're matching, it's sort of like a dating site almost, we say very detail oriented, needs this type of communication,
right.
responds well to this, and this. Sometimes it's like this person swears a ton, so we're not going to match with someone who's sensitive to that or feels like they're being attacked. It's there's a lot of little moving parts, a lot of details, but we do try to set everyone up for success. So we just let the VA know that this is the type of personality they're dealing with. And one of the things I always say on my sales calls is like, no one's feelings will get hurt. If you don't click with this person, that's okay.
Yeah.
We're here to help. We're here to make your life easier. We're not here to overcomplicate things. That's why we have account managers in place. That's why we do the sales calls. That's why, when we have this tech developed, you'll be able to go in and see what you're getting before you even get it. Or who you're getting before you get them. So you can be really, really comfortable. And so our whole aim is to make sure everyone's comfortable and representing, both the client's company properly, but then also feeling safe, secure, and protected in our culture.
And I think in a lot of organizations, their cultures are going to be shifting, and they're going to have to learn how to adapt to bringing on a workforce and a part of their team that's not in the office. And so this is a great way to start. And so I'm imploring people to really give it a shot, but really tell us one thing that people are shocked by, and that's sort of the reason maybe why they would want to give it a shot.
I would say the overarching thing that shocks them is once you drill down into the tasks, how much we can actually do in a fraction of the time. So, as I said, like sitting in on a meeting, but then suddenly there are 10 other tasks associated with that. Social media, well, no, we're not just posting content that you have kicking around. We'll do the content research, we'll do the Photoshop, we'll collect the images, we'll build the content, we'll research the hashtags, we'll do the market research, we will schedule everything and then post and then engage. So I think what ends up blowing people's minds is like that it's everything. We're not just saying we'll do the surface level. We will get into your business, we will build a strategy, we will grow your business, and we'll grow your business as though it were our business. I mean, we take it really, really seriously. And I think that's where the biggest shock is, because we're not task-based in the sense that you're not just asking us to book a flight for you and then calling us in 3 months when you need something else done. We're working with you. And so it becomes an investment on both sides. Your VA is investing their time in your business, investing their time in your success. Yeah. And so it's just what shocks people most is everything that we're willing to do, everything that we're willing to take on, and the level of detail associated with that. So yeah, that's us in a nutshell.
Now we're back to wrap up with Bobbie, where we talk a tiny bit about the way in which remote and virtual workers can help you when you're in a talent struggle, and also for that special little offer for you guys. Again, the conversations I often have are with chief people officers, people that are focused on the people side of business. Yeah. And the one thing that you always hear is that there's a challenge with talent, right? There's, especially in a growth stage or a startup company, you can't just hire, one UX designer and then, one person to do your social media. You have to have people that can do a lot, or you have to think of another solution. That's a really good one, is a virtual assistant that might be able to just do that 5 to 10 hours a week that you need, but because we all feel obligated, right? We want to take care of people, and there's an element of you want to build a team, but sometimes you can't do that right off the bat. And I think that you really are providing a solution that's so helpful. And you actually are so generously providing our audience with a discount code, right? So I think it's 15% for the first 4 months.
It is, right? Yeah. For the first 4 months, it's 15%.
You'll just be able to use the word culture EING, and if you put that promo code into thevirtualgurus.com, is that right?
Right, and you'll go to hire a virtual assistant, enter that code into the promo code. But just starting next month, when you click hire a virtual assistant, it's going to go automatically into the profiles. Right. So you have to go through the profiles and pick your VA that you want to work with, and at the very end, enter the promo code. And you'll see both ways. You'll see enter promo code.
Oh, it's going to be so interactive. I love it.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for coming on, Bobbie. I so appreciate you, and we just appreciate your team. They're brilliant. And I can't wait to see you keep growing.
Awesome. Thank you.
And there you have it, a crash course in remote workers and virtual assistants. I absolutely love it because I think this is something that's really going to catch on. I know for me, as I look to build my business and grow myself, I think it's so important to have all the options available to you and to know how to use them. And what better way to just try it out today with this generous offer of a 4-month discount on basically testing out what could a virtual assistant look like in your business. Maybe you just don't even know that there's been a bunch of things that you don't really love doing or that you're not even that good at that have actually been holding you back, that have been keeping you from being your best. So I definitely implore you to check that out. It's a generous offer. Why not try it out? There's also just been so many amazing comments this past week from people in our community who absolutely adore company culture and the work that it takes to build a great workplace environment. So please just keep that up. Thank you so much for commenting on Instagram, for engaging on our website. It's just been fabulous to hear some of the feedback from you as we look to keep building and keep growing this podcast and providing you with content that really helps you build the workplace of the future. Make sure to subscribe today, as it's something that really helps us grow, and this podcast does take quite a bit of time to produce, and I love it, but it's definitely something worthwhile that I want to keep up, and we can only grow with you helping us. So spread the word, subscribe today, share with your friends and colleagues, and check us out at Culturing Podcast on Instagram or culturing.com/podcast. Thank you so much and be blessed.